I'm Nancy from Black Sheep Knitting in Needham, Massachusetts, sitting here in our local yarn shop where we try to give lots of advice, show lots of samples, help people as much as we can to get the right project, get the right yarn for their project, and we offer a lot of classes. And currently, with the fall beginning, we have spaces in our classes because people were away for the summer. So give us a call if you're interested in a class. They go in 8-week sessions continuously, and you can join in the middle and you just do a prorated charge for the remainder of the classes for that session. So it's a wonderful opportunity to sit with folks and knit and get some help at the same time. We also have on Friday afternoon a sit and knit, and people, they started with people working on our knit-alongs, and people were doing that, but we have kind of a wonderful group who are working on all kinds of things, who come faithfully at 3 on Fridays. Saturdays from 3 to 5 we have a knit-along with Giovanna for those people working on the Rhinebeck sweater framed or the framed cowl. So she'll be here. That's also a nice active group. So you have an opportunity to come in. You can also on Saturday afternoon just come in and sit and knit. We love to have people. One of our most favorite designers is Petite Knit. And when it comes to figuring out how much yarn to get, it becomes a bit of a question. So on the Petite Knit patterns, and a lot of the patterns that come from Europe, they'll give you grams instead of yards. Well, what do I do about that? So you look at this, but if you read further, she gives all the grams for all the sizes, and then in parentheses after that, she says 50 grams equals 235 meters. And so how do you get from meters to yards? So it's 235 times 1.1, which gives you 257 yards approximately. So then if you have 50 grams equals 257 yards, so if I take the first set of weights, it's 250 grams. So I divide that by the 50 gram weight, which I get 5, because 5 times 5, and then I multiply that by the 257 yards, which is what 50 grams equals. So let me go over that again because it's a little bit.
If you hate math, there's a converter on your phone.
Oh, there is a converter on your phone. But you should get used to figuring this out, that meters translated into grams is 1.1 times the meters equals the yards. So meters translated into yards. I think I said grams, which I didn't mean. But so again, if you're looking at these, and you could write this down, but if you look at her yarn requirements, she has them in grams. And then she tells you what 50 grams of the yarn she's chooses equals 257 yards. So you divide, so the first two are 250 grams, you divide that by the 50 gram amount, which is 5, and then you multiply that by the yards. So it's going to be 5 times 257. And if that drives you crazy, Giovanna is going to do a workshop on knitting math. So let's use our brains. It's good for you to use your brain. And don't go crazy when you see grams. Oh no, what do I do? She explains to you what you should do.
There are other knitting math situations, like changing patterns.
There's lots of, yes. So if this mystifies you and you want to get better at doing this kind of translation for yourself, you'll want to take Giovanna's workshop. and it's called Knitting Math, and she's going to give you lots of hints and tips about how you use math in knitting. Now, who knew you needed math for knitting? But you do. And it's good for our brains. A lot of us are getting up there in the years. It's good for us to use our brains. And it also makes you a more confident knitter, because you see something and then it doesn't like scare you to death. And it ends up being, no, I can't do that pattern because, no, I couldn't do this, or it seems too hard. None of it's that hard. And I just gave you a formula, and if you have questions about that, you can let me know. I wanted to show you, so fall is a time we've been knitting summer things all along, at least I have been through the summer, and now I've started on some fall knitting, one of which I want to show you this whip that I'm doing, which I decided, and maybe I said this last time, I do not like ending up knitting the body of my sweater and then I have 2 sleeves to go, and it's like, ugh, and it drags and drags and drags. So on my sweater, I'm doing the sleeves first. So I did 1 sleeve. My body stitches are on one of those barber cords here, waiting to be picked up. So when I finish this sleeve, and I'm getting there, I'm going to just, all I have to do is knit, knit, knit in the round and do the ribbing at the bottom. So this has been kind of a fun thing. I would recommend it if you don't like to be on Sleeve Island. This is a good idea.
You'd be on Body Island.
You're on Body Island. But somehow that's easier. And I do recommend, and I heard this, I think, from Andrew Mowry, or someone who said, when you're trying on your sweater for fit, it changes a little bit when you put the sleeves on. The sleeves drag it down a little. So this kind of prevents it. You can try this on and see
So you
if
got
it works.
to the place where you separate.
I
and
got
just
to
pick them
the,
up, just
I
pick
got
them
to
up
where
and-
you separate and you cast on here. And by the by, it tells you to cast on this particular pattern. There were 5 stitches, but I had gaping holes over here. The 5 stitches didn't take up this space, so I kept picking up stitches till there wasn't a gap at all. And then I knit around, and whatever number I picked up, let's say I picked up 4 extra, so I would knit 2 together twice over on one side and twice on another side, thus eliminating the 4 extra stitches I did. So what I did was, on the body, I knit about 1 inch down on the body before I put it on the holder, and then I started knitting. And I'm knitting with, and boy do I love these. These are the shorties, the Chow-Gu shorties. I don't need, and I'll probably never do magic loop again or double pointed needles, because they give you the kit. The little kit has, there are 3 different ones that you can get, and so they have different sizes in each one. And then you have a cord, and I can't remember if this is 9 or if I have 12 in here, but they have interchangeable cords depending on what you're doing. And these do, I have to confess, they do untighten a little bit. They loosen up, but you just tighten them. You check them periodically to make sure. But boy, does this make knitting a sleeve a breeze. You're just knitting around and around and around. And notice that I'm putting, wherever I'm doing my decreases, I'm putting a marker. And I should tell you, probably this isn't a great confession for a teacher to make. Doesn't matter necessarily how many rows are in between. Just an approximation works fine on a sleeve. No one will tell on you, and just so that they're sort of evenly spaced, I just use a ruler, or what I'll do on this one, I have all of these marked on this side, and so I'll just measure, compare them and then do. But I kind of look at it and say, yeah, that looks like 8 stitches, 8 rows, because I usually use 8 rows as a measurement. Anyway, This is called calliope, and it's held with a fingering weight and the moondrake fua fua, and it makes a really soft knit. I wanted to show you, because this is the time we're picking patterns, so I wanted to show you some of the things that are out there that people are doing. And a new one that came up is called the Paulie Cardigan. And this is by Amy Christoffers. And the yarn, I'll show you in a minute, but I think they're using Dream State and Spinster's Daughter worsted. That's what I thought. So this is called the Paulie Cardigan. Again, in the vein of the, what's it like? It's like the Pressed Flowers cardigan. It has that kind of thing, but it has these very cute sort of quilty, and that's kind of popular now, I guess. So people are really, take a look on Ravelry at what people are doing, but it's pretty cute. Another one I found, stripes are in this fall. I don't know if they ever went out, but you see a lot of stripes. I look, yeah, I've got stripes on, and I love stripes. And I look at a lot of, and I get a lot of catalogs at home, and I don't get fashion magazines, but wherever I am, I look at what the trends are and what people are wearing, and so that informs us with maybe what we want to do for the season. This one is a pattern by Heidi Kermeyer, and I don't know if I'm drawn to it because I like the colors on this, but I think it's a fun striped cardigan in a DK weight, and this is it, and it's called Ship Shape Cardigan. She's doing it with Rowan felted tweed. There are lots of others that you could do, and I do like this detail on the shoulder, how the stripes, do you see that? That sort of drew me to it. I thought it was fun. But I just loved the colors they chose. And you know, you can wear a cardigan as a pullover. You just button it up. So I like that a lot. And as you can see, there are other options. And if you look at, well, there's 50 projects to look at. So, and I always do that. I really, really recommend that, to go and look at other people's projects and to look at what they say. Don't click on Ravelry, don't click that thing at the top that says comments. What you want to do is look at the individual, each project, and each person puts in their comment there. This one is by one of my favorite designers. I just finished the Stratified by her. It's Tiff Nealon, and this is with Dream State and the Spinster's Daughter worsted. But this is again a stripe pattern, but a very simple, fun, quick knit that you can wear, you know, as a tank, or tee, I mean, not a tank, as a tee, or you can wear it with a shirt, a button-down shirt under it. You can wear a turtleneck as we get into winter. It's called Collected Slipover. And I thought it was fun. And I think it's just an easy 2 pieces. It's got a chart. It's in the round. It's stripes, color work, written pattern. Oh, work flat. So it is 2 pieces. I was looking to see if it's, so it's probably just 2 squares basically put together. So that's a good one to start out the fall. This one is one I had my eye on for a little bit and would like to do it. It's called Twigtale by Nadia Cretin, I can never say her name, Cretin Leshane? I don't know if you can look her up, but it's called Twigtale. But I like the pattern on the front of the sweater. I thought it would be a fun one to do. And let me see if I can show you. Oh, I can show you some details on it. See the detail on the shoulder and the front. So I like it. By the way, This new trend of tucking your sweater into your pants is just, I don't get it. I just don't get it. First of all, like at my age, you don't have a flat stomach, so I don't want anybody seeing my stomach. And you did all that knitting, and then you're going to crunch the bottom of your ribbing or crunch the bottom of your sweater in your jeans. Not for me. That just, I'm showing my age, but that's just a little aside. This is one that I've seen for a long time, and I like another striped sweater by Petite Knit. It's called Lyon Sweater, Lyon, after the city in France. And again, it's just simple stripes. And with any striped sweater, you can stripe it any way you want, any number of rows. You can gradually increase the number of rows per stripe. You can do anything you want. This one is a worsted for 5 stitches to the inch, and she uses Sandusgarn tin silk mohair or Sunday Petite Knit. I don't know which one that is, or Sandusgarn Sunday. But she holds 2, so I guess she's holding 2 fingering weights together, so it's the mohair and probably the Sunday to get a worsted. So that's another one. And then the other thing that I'm finding is really popular this fall are vests. And don't we all love vests, because you don't have to do sleeves. And they keep you warm in the winter, and you could wear them as a tee in the summer if you like. So I'm going to do some vests, I think. I may have 1 or 2 vests in my closet, but I don't remember. So this one is called Cameo by Orlaine Souchet. And I just love the style of this. I think it's really very pretty, and it would be interesting to knit, I think. I like the cables on it in the front. Here you can see some other samples of it. Here it's worn open with just a white shirt, and I love a vest with a white shirt. But one thing that's sort of popular are work shirts. You know, we've all worn, at least I wore those in the 70s like crazy. So these sweaters look really good with a nice fitted work shirt under. So you can see the style of it. And it's pretty, they're quick to do and fun to wear. And you get some chance to pick out some really pretty buttons. I do recommend when you knit a sweater that has buttons that you knit the sweater first and then come in and pick out your buttons. This is one that we did a sweater by Caitlin Hunter that had flowers called something Bloom. I can't remember. But she's made a vest called Nordic Bloom vest. I don't particularly love these colors that she's using, and I think you could find some better colors than that, but I do love the pattern, and I love to do color work, so I think that would be a lot of fun. Although, yeah, I think it would be fun. I would do it. Another one that I've seen a lot of, and this one is by Sari Nordland, and she's a very popular designer from, I'm going to say the wrong place. She's from Europe, Northern Europe, and I don't see anything here that gives me a clue as to where she's from. But she has a podcast, which is nice. This one's very popular. It's almost 300 people have done it since May. It's called the Book Club Cardigan. So if you like to do cables, or you'd like to challenge yourself and do some cables, this would be a very good one to do. And I love in the winter to throw on a cardigan when I'm cold, and I tend to run cold in the wintertime, so I love to walk around my house in a wool cardigan. Keeps me warm. And this one, I found this with a customer the other day, and it had just been put out, and she was thinking about doing it, and I said, let's wait and see when some other people have done it and what they say about it. Let's not be the first people to jump on the bandwagon. I think it's quite pretty. It's called Antanilla and it's by SD Go. Boy, I'm butchering that name. But you can find it Antanilla. And I thought this was just a very pretty cardigan. And you can have fun doing some baubles. Here, look at the back of this. Isn't that stunning? It's just really fun. And you can learn to make baubles. And guess what? It's a free pattern. It's done, so this is the puzzle when you are looking at patterns. It says DK weight for yarn. Then it says gauge, 17 stitches over 4 inches. That doesn't compute. But the way that it does compute and what you have to figure, and using a size 6 needle. So now that's even more of a puzzle now that I think about it. I was going to say maybe you're using a bigger needle, and that would get you to the 17. I'm stumped. 17 stitches.
Well, what you always say
O
is
equals
don't pay
14.
attention to what they call it. Just like
Correct.
gauge.
True, but on a size 6 needle, that
And
doesn't
being
make sense to
smaller
me.
even.
So the yarn they're using is a yarn called Hobbii, Hobbii. It's European yarn, and I'm stumped on that one. I think I would. Does she give us a clue? That has a lot of positive ease. Again, as I said to my customer, I said, let's wait till other people have done it because it's a beautiful pattern. People will do it. So let's see, on that one, I would double check what all the people said about it. Okay, here's one. Catherine, our wonderful Catherine, came back from the north for a day or so, and she'll be back in October, don't worry. And she had done this vest, and it is gorgeous. Although they tell you to put these buttons on, the horn ones that are really made from real horn, but when she had bought them online and when we put them on, they just overpowered it. So we found some other beautiful buttons. This is called Texture Vest by Helga Isager from the Isager Yarns. And it's just, and she did it in an Isager yarn called Alpaca 3, I believe. That's a, I can't think of the name. It'll come to me. But it's a beautiful, squishy, it's a chainette construction. So it's wonderfully squishy, and she did,
Echo Soft.
well, we have Echo Baby. This is a heavier version of that. So it's the Isager Alpaca 3, and she used it with Isager Spinny, which I don't know that you have to. Spinny is a very thin, almost a lace weight wool. I think you could get away with just doing it that way. So that's one I definitely want to do, and I want to do it in a white, so I might get that yarn. And lastly, Beth is doing this one, and this is going to be hard to see, I think. This is called Hakuji by Iri Shimizu, and it's done in we did it in a brushed cashmere, a very, like a mohair yarn, and it's just big cables on a knit one, purl one pattern throughout. So it's not stockinette, it's knit one, purl one, actually through the whole thing. And I think you're on a relatively big needle, about 6. What the heck? Anyway, a bunch of people are doing this now, and they really are loving it, and it ends up being so lightweight and gorgeous. So that's another one that I am really seriously considering. Of course, you never know. I'm still trying to get through some stash so that I don't have mounds of, I don't mind having stash. I have not 1 ounce of guilt about it. As far as I'm concerned, it's art supplies. It gives me choice when I want to knit. I feel like I'm surrounded by beautiful, wonderful yarns, so I have no problem with that. But I do, as I'd said about the Rhinebeck sweaters and going to Rhinebeck, that I'm trying now to knock off some of those in my stash where I have a whole large lot of yarn for a sweater. So I'm trying to get to those. I think that may be all we have, except to mention again the yarn crawl, which is coming up on the 26th of September. So you want to put that on your calendar. We have some awesome donations from vendors for our prizes. We have daily prizes and a grand prize. So you'll want to do that, and you'll want to come by and see what's happening. Again, we're having a Miss Babs trunk show, which will be fun. We got some new yarns in from them, so we'll be excited to see those. And the workshops coming up are going to be, we don't have dates yet, but Giovanna's going to do knitting math, as I told you about. She's also going to do how to navigate Ravelry, kind of without going down the rabbit hole and getting stuck and not finding what you want. So, and she's a master at that. And I'm going to be doing a toe-up. I say magic loop, but I said I wouldn't do magic loop again, but I will be teaching toe-up magic loop socks, and it'll be a 2-part class. And I'm not sure what day it'll be. We like Saturday afternoons, but now the shop gets very busy with other workshops and other things, so I might change it to a different time. Anyway, I hope that you have a great week. Get those needles going and start thinking about holiday presents. There's lots of small projects and kits that we have here in the shop. So I'll see you in a week's time. Thank you. Bye.